A very interesting Odyssey feature got leaked, the story creator mode. So let's discuss what that might mean and also go over important things you want to know before the Atlantis DLC releases, something weird that happened with Sargon, and way more. So let's get into it. A like on the video would of course be super appreciated, and let's go. If you haven't checked out my giveaway for the upcoming Lawgiver set yet, then totally do that by following the link in the pinned comment. Be sure you are subscribed to the channel before you enter. Tassos was the previous winner of the Swings Pack giveaway, so who knows, maybe you are next. Again, link in the pinned comment, and be sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. Remember the story mode option that was spotted in the menu when Ubisoft wanted to show the new enemy scaling feature? Well, we never really heard anything about that anymore, but maybe we now know what this was all about. So recently on the Social Pulse, that's a sort of website that shows the latest Odyssey news and also posts from the community manager Dominic, for example. Well, it now showed a post from Dominic that he made in a private forum talking about a so-called story creator mode. We are very happy to present you in exclusivity story creator mode, a community generated content feature that will be available to all Assassin's Creed Odyssey players at a later date. I want to thank Rysenar on Twitter for reaching out to me about this because he saw it when he looked at the Social Pulse. And another message that showed up is as follows: welcome to the story creator mode user manual. The story creator is a grouping of tools in which creators can build their own stories. You can create new stories or edit them as well. And Ubisoft of course quickly removed the post from the Social Pulse because they weren't supposed to be there obviously, but it does give us a glimpse at a feature that Ubisoft is very likely testing right now. If you clicked on the post in the Social Pulse, it would lead you to a form and then it said, oh, you don't have the permission to check this. So there was really a glitch going on that made these posts appear on the Social Pulse. So yes, what does this mean? Like, can we create our own stories in the future? So write them for people to read them, or maybe even real quests for in the game? The hardest part of supporting a game like Odyssey in general without any multiplayer is of course the fact that you can finish it. You can hit a point in this game where there's no new content to play, something that is not possible in a competitive multiplayer game that is always different because you play against humans that are unpredictable. And Ubisoft does a great job of adding new missions like the Lost Tales of Greece quest lines that they've been adding, but they cost a ton of time and resources to make, and then you play it for 45 minutes and then you can basically wait for the next content to drop. And to be fair, Odyssey is already way better in terms of replayability than Origins, where in Origins if you killed the sort of roaming bosses they would not respawn, or if you killed some captains in a fort they would not respawn as well. So then you basically only had regular enemies to fight, while in Odyssey we of course have the mercenary system that keeps on going, just like the constant war between Sparta and Athens. So you always have the high class enemies in the forts if it has been taken over by another region. But still the fact remains that it's of course way harder to keep players engaged in a single player game than in a multiplayer game, and this story creator mode seems to be a very interesting way to combat this. Let the community make stories or quests inside the game, so there should be on paper an endless amount of new content to play. Again, we don't really know the specifics of this feature yet, but the idea seems to revolve around user-generated content. A community-generated content feature that will be available to all Odyssey players at a later date. But of course, a feature like this really falls and stands by the amount of tools and amount of variety that is possible. And it's really hard to say right now if that will be the case, but they seem to be testing it, suggesting that it might be more complicated than we think. They even made a user manual, as we saw in that Social Pulse message as well. This kind of reminds me of the Animus control panel that was released for Origins in April of last year, where Ubisoft gave the players basically some developer tools to tweak the experience and activate a god mode, make them run faster, hit harder, etc. And this story creator mode seems to be similar in terms of giving players more ways to customize the game than you would normally see. So the sad part about the Animus control panel was that it was only on PC. You had to use the Uplay launcher to enable this feature. But yeah, they now say all AC Odyssey players, so I hope that it's really for all platforms this time. But again, nothing is confirmed at this point. And they say that it will be available at a later date. So is that maybe after the Atlantis DLC? That would fall in line with what Yves Guillemot was saying last year at E3, that Odyssey would get content for years. We know that the fate of Atlantis is the final story arc for Odyssey, so if they stopped after that, then Yves would be lying. But if this feature is after that, then of course it's a whole different story. I really think that overall the possibilities are endless, and if this feature is really as deep as I hope it will be, then it would basically mean that you can spend way more time with Odyssey after Atlantis. Bruno, the live content director, told me that after Atlantis the game will live on, and this would be a very interesting way to do that. Of course, share your theories on what this might be in the comments down below. So yeah, all we know is that they're seemingly testing this feature right now on a private forum, and that it's called the Story Creator Mode. Again, let me know what you think. Before this potential new feature, we of course have the first Atlantis DLC episode, Fields of Elysium. And now Ubisoft published some interesting info on when it will be available. So if you're playing on PC via Uplay, then it will be available pretty early in the morning. And as always, Steam users have to wait a little longer, 6 PM if you live in Europe. For Xbox One, it will be available at midnight, and I play on PS4 and it's always available at midnight for me as well, but it actually depends on your region. From what I hear, it's normally that the US players will have to wait till after the store update. That also happens on a Tuesday. But of course, what I would suggest is just search the PlayStation Store, Fate of Atlantis, on April 23rd. And then it should be there. If it's not there, then it will be available a little later. So yes, you will have to download a new file. It will likely not be that big as with the other episodes. It will of course be available if you have the Season Pass. Or you can also buy this DLC separately. So likely all the free episodes in one, just like with the Legacy of the First Blade. And we got a small bit of new info about the Fields of Elysium from a blog post from Ubisoft, noting that we will help Hermes in the first episode to make sure that Persephone loses control over Elysium. So Hermes himself will play a role in this DLC, pretty cool. We also have Jay on Twitter saying that the new armor, bow and sword that I highlighted in my April content video where I broke down the new footage that Ubisoft released. Well, according to Jay, all these items are actually Hermes themed, so that is a nice touch. We are close to the release and I will of course have way more videos up discussing all the new items and other things you need to know, so keep an eye out for that. And to be able to play the new Atlantis DLC, you of course have to finish the Mythical Creature storyline and the Air of Memories free mission that opens up after that. And I'm not sure about you, but I had some weird things happen during that mission. Suddenly a mercenary showed up outside of the tomb when I was playing as Layla. Like I saw the icon moving around. So I already thought that that was weird, but it can get even weirder. We got Rodefried, Dutch guy represent, reached out with a video of him getting chased by a mercenary while playing as Layla. And now I'm curious if he was able to fight it as well, but I totally get why Rodefried would leave the guy alone and just focus on completing the tomb. So the only explanation is that this mercenary also has the Staff of Hermes and survived all this time to take revenge on Layla. Or it was just a glitch, but I think the first option was way more likely, right? Speaking of weird things that happened, Sargon's shop changed. That's of course not really weird because it happens every Tuesday when the timer in his shop goes to 0. But now it happened a second time very soon after the first change. So Ubisoft promised a while back that we would not see blue items in the shop anymore, but this can still happen from the looks of it. Iceberg reached out on Twitter with a shot of the store 6 minutes after the reset happened. It featured the boots from the Wild Boar set and the hat from the Twitch Prime pack. And that's a blue hat. So you could normally get this full armor set by becoming a Twitch Prime member, but now it's also in the Helix store, so it can also appear in the Olympian gifts and also in the weekly selection. Although again, there should not be a blue item in the weekly selection. And Ubisoft is of course completely aware of that, so they changed, not even an hour later, the complete selection of Sargon, like a full refresh. And now we don't see the Wild Boar set boots anymore, but actually the one from the Dionysos pack and also the one from the Celestial pack. And I'm of the mind that buying boots with Orichalcum is kind of a waste because it does not really impact the look of your character that much. So I really think that you should save it for a cool weapon or maybe a mount or a hat or a chest piece. But it's of course really up to you if you want to buy it. But of course overall still interesting that they decided to change it immediately. I'm very likely going to stream this weekly selection though, the moment it goes live, so if they then change it, we will notice during the stream. Unless Sony of course decides to release new PlayStation 5 details again on the Tuesday, because that's why I was really unable to stream last time. I had to make a video on that, but we will see how it goes April 23rd. And that's of course the same day as the first episode of the Atlantis DLC. So exciting times. Subscribe of course to stay up to date on everything Odyssey. Again, I will have some awesome Fate of Atlantis content up as well. Maybe even before the release. A like on the video would be super appreciated. And now let's get to Sargon to see if he can change his store again. No, mostly to get the freaking Haste Lieutenant. Yes, Sargon, almost April 23rd, almost Atlantis time. I already touched on these, right? Yeah, with the staff damage, yeah, they were pretty good. But yeah, we're not here for that. We're here for the freaking Hades Lieutenant. So, come on. It is time for something like... I was going to say it is time for something legendary, but we got the shark figurehead. So, if you followed the channel for a while, then you know that I only can get some naval stuff because I review all the packs here. So, I get them with Helix credits, so they cannot appear in the Olympian gifts. But yeah, it's only like 5 optional items are in the freaking Olympian gifts. And there's only one I need. Yeah, you're going to stand up already. But I wanted to go for the fire arrow. I've been saying I will burn you to the ground multiple times, but I'm not using the Hades bow anymore, so I now need another way to have these guys burn. But yeah, whoa, boink, boink. Okay, nice. Subscribe, of course, for way more Odyssey content. Maybe tomorrow some Atlantis. Like the video to support channel, and I will speak to you next time. Check out my previous video, by the way, on an insane XP farm spot that I don't think they fixed yet, but will likely do soon. For now, goodbye.